How you doing, everybody? Welcome to the 7-day launch challenge. I'm Chad Thibodeau. Holy freaking smokes, guys. This is day number 4 already. I can't believe it. The days are flying. In just a matter of days, you guys will be launching your business and making money. Now, today, day number 4 is incredibly special. If you watched the video a little bit earlier, many of you are making your public declarations today, and people are beginning to get the buzz that you got something cool coming on. And so what's going to happen is over the next couple of days, as you begin getting your content out, as you begin letting the world know that you're launching a business, your inbox is going to start getting some people who inquire about your business, and you're going to want to make some sales. So I started thinking about this. I did a training on how to move people from your inbox to your bank account, but I was like, okay. Who can I get? I'm talking like the best in the world. Who can I get to come on here and do a training with us? I'm talking to get us to the next level. So I started thinking about, who are like some of the best influencers in the world? And a guy by the name of Tony Robbins came to mind. I'm like, okay, Tony Robbins. I wonder who does the sales for Tony Robbins. And I ran across a guy, become a good friend of mine. His name is Brett Figueroa. And Brett used to be an incredible salesperson for Tony Robbins. In fact, he was the #1 sales guy, but it wasn't always that way. Okay, when he got hired with Tony Robbins, okay, he had just a little bit of money in his pocket, and he was so terrible. He started in the boiler room. He was so terrible that they literally fired him, took all of his perks away, his company car, his apartment, his leads, all the appointments, literally took it all away. Later on, okay, he found himself homeless. Later on, came back and got hired by Tony again. And holy freaking smokes, he went from homeless to be one of the #1 guys that Tony Robbins has had, so much so that Tony Robbins himself endorses him. And so I got to know Brett a little bit. He's written tons and tons of books. He is known all around the world. And I think it's a good enough introduction. I'm not going to more of my Brett. I'm going to go right to the #1 guy himself. Brett, we have got people trying to launch a product, trying to figure out how to take people from their inbox to their bank account. And I can't think of anybody better than you to help us do that.
Well, I'm not sure how to fill the shoes are about that big. I need to fill them. Like that's a pretty big shoe, but that's an awesome introduction. And I'm excited, Chad. Thanks for having me on here today, because you and I have a great history together. And as you respect my work, I equally respect your work as well. So I know you're making an impact, you're making a difference, you're like out there every day. And so it's awesome. So it's great to be part of this platform. And when you had come to me and asked me and talked to me, would I do this, hands down, how fast did I respond? Like
quickly,
right away. I mean, I didn't need a week. I didn't need a month. Boom. I mean, it was a matter of seconds. I was like, I'm all over it, because I get my end user on this call.
Yeah.
And I get that person that's starting up a business, they probably dumped a lot of money in getting that business up to speed. And now you're right in this 7-day launch, and you've got these last few remaining days where before an opportunity, really comes to you in a big way, or the opportunity that comes to you via a lead turns into a disappointment.
Right.
And so, one of those two options are going to come available, either a certain, great opportunity that you'll create for yourself. And I believe that much of the content that I'm going to share with you here today, matter of fact, I just came back from Vegas, as I was mentioning to you, Chad, just here maybe 2-3 weeks ago. But my coach of 25 years, Dan, out in Vegas, had asked me to come out and talk and do a meeting for his team. And because his team are young entrepreneurs, and his team every day are generating leads. And so for many of these, they're burning through those leads. And there's nothing more disappointing. And I've been there personally. And that's why when you talk about my story, I was that guy that was given opportunity, but I failed at creating a great opportunity with it. So it became a disappointment. And there's nothing worse than putting all this energy and intensity into something and then not being able to close the deal.
Yeah.
Bring it all together.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let's jump into that idea, the closing.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen is so many of these people, they're going to start getting leads in their inbox, and we're going to be moving them from the inbox to what we call a discovery call. And so many of us are going to be selling on a discovery call, and that can be incredibly nervous. So set the tone for us a little bit. Like, what should our demeanor be? What should our tone be? Should we be operator? Hello, this is Chet. Like, what should we do on the phone?
Okay, so I've got some really, really great content for that question, because I know that like I say, you're getting these leads, you're getting these opportunities. And so it's really about how you set it up right now. So I've been doing what we call strategy sessions, same discovery sessions, call them what you want. but I've been doing strategy sessions for years and years. I've been doing this now 25 years. And so, but I wasn't always good at doing a strategy session. And, you know, I failed miserably in my early years, just like I failed miserably in doing presentations when I worked with Tony. I had to learn things to ultimately get better. And so when I began to get these opportunities for doing strategy sessions or discovery sessions, as you may call them, is that I needed to learn how to really master that process. Because when the leads are coming in, you've got to learn to master it. Just like somebody walking into a restaurant, they need to learn how to master that situation. And so they get more and more of that situation. But if they're not a master, before you know it, nobody, you know, is going to keep on showing there. And so I'm just going to dive in, Chad, and I'm going to kind of just take the run here just for a couple of minutes here and just kind of. So first of all, I just want to say, before we start, I want to say congratulations to the end user that I'm talking to right now. I mean, in a really, really big way. And because for most people, they've got great ideas, they've got, you know, great things that they'd like to do one day, but they don't have any confidence to pull it to the carpet. You know, they don't have the belief inside of their head that they can actually pull it off and make it happen. And the fact is you do. And so you got that part handled. You know, you got through the part of can I not, you made it, and now you're in the process of it, and now you're going to be generating leads with it. So let's get you to where you really can pull out of the gate really fast and really strong and just on fire. And so I'll share a few different strategies with you. I'll share a few different mindsets with you. So one of the things that I think that is really one of the most important things, like for a lot of people in sales, they think, you know, like what's important, like learning how to overcome objections and learning how to close and learning how to prospect and learning how to do those things. And all those things are important. I mean, we've got to close and we've got to prospect and we've got to, you know, overcome objections at times. But I think the most important thing that I can invite you to take out of here, I'm just going to set this right up in advance, that because a lot of people are listening for something different than what it is that I'm about to share. And so I can share with you all the things that you're going to be listening for along the way on this video, but if you don't get this one thing, it's not going to work. So you're going to be at a disadvantage by me just sharing with you these things if those things are not going through the right filter. And so you want to put things through a nice filter. And so the most important thing that you can really master is this way of being on the phone. So your discovery calls are all on the phone, which I'm assuming, correct, Chad, for the most part? Yeah, so they're all on the phone. So it's really learning how to master who you're being on the phone. Because who you're being is more important than what you're doing. Who you're being is more important than what you're saying. So you can say the right things, but be the wrong person while you're saying the right things. Yeah. And you're not going to hit the bullseye. So the key is to really identify not what it is so much of what it is that I'm saying, because many times people will forget what you're saying, but they're not going to forget who you're being. So it's really important to remember, who am I being as I go into this call? And don't ever like just go pick up a call, like pick up a phone and just put yourself in that right place. Think about your end user. I remember being in Chicago years ago and I was really struggling, and we were in Tony's apartment or hotel and we were having a nice lunch. And my partner Chuck and I, we were sitting across from each other. Tony was at the head of the table, and we were talking about how we were struggling in Chicago and making sales and talking about maybe their Midwestern personality or attitude. And he really just hit it right to the point. He says, Brett, he says, you know, every time I go out and get on stage, he says, I check in and I look out and ask myself, who are these people? Who is this person I'm about ready to go talk to? So if you think about your end users in advance, really think about some of their issues, their concerns, their challenges, you know, their everyday things that they go through, and how your product can assist in maybe eradicating that issue, maybe eliminating that situation, whatever that is. But if you can't personally make that connection between them and you and your product, then it doesn't matter what you say on the phone. You'll be another sales guy that's got a bunch of leads banging out calls. But if you're really committed, it's to really connect in. And so we began to ask ourselves, what do I love about these people here in Chicago? You know, and what do I respect about these real estate agents that I'm about ready to go present to? You know, and their daily issues and their daily challenges and their daily concerns. And how is it that I can go in there and make a difference? Well, how is it that your product or your service can make a difference with their needs? Right. So the first thing that I'd really look at is ask yourself, one is, who am I being? because I could be saying the right things and doing the right things, but if I'm being the wrong person,
I like that.
then we're not gonna hit it. So, and the second thing is who's my customer? Like, who are they?
Before you get to that, can I go back and ask you a question about the being? Because
yes.
Talk to me about, who am I supposed to be? Like what does that look like? How do I know whether I'm the right person or not?
Right. So that's a great question. And so that's also a complicated question, because there's a lot of different ways of being. It's like driving a car, so we're turning and we're this and we're that. And so, because we're not always being the right person, but if you have one frame that you can kind of come from, which when I talk to people and I do my calls and things of that nature, they're always like, damn, dude, you are so exciting.
Yeah.
You are so passionate. You are so this. And I want to infuse them as a person with the excitement that is necessary in order for them to have a better life. And that's
what I hear, right? Right. So that takes some preparation.
That takes preparation. You noticed before we got on here, I prepared.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me the other day, or somebody asked me earlier today, they said, Brett, how did you were in Vegas a couple of weeks ago. They said, you posted on Facebook that you had already run a 6-mile run by 6 a.m. I'm like, I said, I run a 6 miles by 6 a.m. because I was going to do a meeting at 9 a.m. with my coach and his team. Right. I would never in a million years go and underserve his team because I couldn't get myself up and out of bed and onto the streets.
Right.
It's a disservice to come to a discovery call, less than you could ever possibly be, because if you're really committed to making an impact through your product and service, if you believe your product and service can make an impact, I am there to make an impact, and they are going to get it in such a way that at the end, forget about it. You're not even closing.
I know you got so much more to talk about, but I want to pick your brain on this a little bit, because we talk a little bit so much that, God made us to be a human being, not a human doing. And so many of us look at a discovery call as something that we do, and what you're saying aligns directly with what I teach. It's not something that you do, it's something that you are.
That's right.
So talk to me about, so we got some moms on here, right? Who've got 2, 3, 4, 5 kids that are running around, and she's got to be able to navigate that, get on the phone. Can you walk me through a little?
Yeah. Well, in that kind of situation, I frame that stuff in advance. I'm going into an elevator. I'm on the car. I've got 5 kids. They're all running around.
Okay.
So I'm going to diffuse that in advance. Whatever's going on, I'm going to diffuse it, kind of have fun with it.
Okay.
And but they also have to, ask themselves, is that something that should I be doing these discovery calls when that situation is going on?
Okay. Now, one more thing before you get to what you want to talk, rest of you want to talk about. And if you're going to get to this later on, then please forgive the question. Sure. What are some mental exercises that I can do? Because I remember when I was an athlete, my college basketball coach would, and I know you look like a college basketball player because you're like 7'20", but
I never played a day of it.
You were like, how tall are you? Like 6'5"?
I'm 6'5", right?
6'5", yeah. And so
my son is 6'9".
I saw that, and I'm 5'11". So right, nice. But I played college basketball. And my coach would always take us through these mental preparations of things that we had to do. We had to visualize and stuff. What are some things we can do as up and coming entrepreneurs to prepare ourselves to be on this phone call?
And that's a great question too, because a lot of people see doom and gloom. That's many times people have that's their natural way. My natural way is I'm excited, I'm passionate, I'm this and that. I've kind of been born at birth in that frame. But some people have a different frame, meaning that they're doom and gloom. They're not going to have any money. They're not going to want my product. They're not going to buy. What did I get myself into? And that you've got to learn what I was always taught was that the next call I make is a buyer. The next call I make is somebody that is going to set an appointment with me. Right. The next call. So, you've got to really listen into what your psychobabble is before you go in. Listen into that and stop it right away. Interrupt it with the antithesis of whatever that might be. They're not going to buy. The antithesis, they're absolutely going to buy.
Right. I love that.
Yeah.
So future patients are awesome. So thank you for letting me interrupt you. What's step number 2?
Okay. So first of all, I want to say that they're not necessarily going to be steps in some of the things I share.
Okay.
I want to take you out of the gate in terms of, how to think about the end user, things of that nature, and, what your mind is thinking in advance before you go on that call. Those things are important. But I want to share with you one of the elements that I want to really invite you to, and this was kind of for the guys that I went to go speak to in Vegas. It was mind blowing for them. Like, they were just blown away. We trained for probably 3-4 hours. It was only expected to be a 45-minute, 60-minute call. We just went on and on because everybody's getting so much value out of it. But one of the things I want to talk about here is that all of this setup that we're going to talk about here today, so however long we go, all this setup that we're going to talk about should naturally lead to an automatic organic close.
Okay.
Meaning that you're not going to have to jump around a bunch of hoops. So as I let these guys in Vegas know, as they're making their strategy calls, and if they're setting it up right, that organically at the very end, the end user should say, wow, that's awesome. So what do we do next?
Okay.
Wow, that's amazing. Where do we go from here? Wow, that's amazing. So what do we do?
Right.
So they're looking to close you. They've heard what they've needed to hear.
Right.
And so a lot of times people go, okay, I got to get all these fancy closes. I never close.
Oh, really?
If I have to quote close them, I did not do an efficient job.
Oh, I love that.
If I have to come around and have some 4, 5, 6, 10 different objections and how to overcome all these different things at the end, I totally fricked up.
Okay.
I need it to be organic. I need them to go ask me, that sounds great. So where do we go from here?
Right.
Boom, we're on the right page. I did my job.
Yeah, okay.
If it doesn't sound that way, I messed up.
Okay.
I messed up.
I love it.
Yeah.
So how do we get there?
Okay, so let me just kind of look here at my little thing here for a minute here. So the first thing you want to have, and keep in mind what they're buying at the end. So we talk about the organic, So you ask, who should they be? There's a lot of different. Be excited, be passionate, be enthusiastic, be knowledgeable. Be what's the word I'm looking for? Be compassionate. To be compassionate, meaning they have a concern, they have an issue, they have a situation. That's why they signed up for the discovery call. They have skepticism coming in. They're fearful of moving forward. Boom, break every part of that on them.
Okay.
So one of the ways of being is being certain. So if there's nothing else that you take away out of this call here today, I hope that you take away certainty. That is key. It's the end of story. It's a line in the sand. That's it. It's certainty.
Okay.
And certainty is very, very powerful because at the end, that's what people buy. They're buying the certainty.
Oh.
My friend, she's the #1 real estate agent in the world with Century 21. We've been pals for 25 years now, Marty Rodriguez. Marty says that selling is nothing more than a transference of certainty.
Okay.
From me to you.
Oh, I like that.
So I'll give you a quick example here. So it's kind of like this. It's kind of like, imagine that you're on one side of a busy street. Your outcome is to get to the other side of the busy street. You stand on the curb. Now, what are you going to do? Just walk into the street? Right? No, we're going to stand on the curb and we're going to look to our left. We're going to look to our right. And then for safety's sake, we're going to look again in case I miss something. Can't miss something.
Right.
When we're certain and only certain do we step off the curb to then get across to the other side.
Right.
If you have people on the curb, it's because they're not certain. They don't feel certain enough to step off into the fear of losing their life, their money, their savings, their income, their whatever that is. You're asking for a lot of money, right, in one sense, right? So they got to have that certainty. That's it. That #1 key ingredient. So if you're selling to them and you don't have that sense of certainty, that's what they are buying, is that certainty. And so people will part with all kinds of cash. People will part with all kinds of savings. Trust me, I have tested the boundaries.
Yeah.
People are so certain and they start selling stuff. They start refinancing stuff. They're like, I got to have what he has.
Right.
But so they'll only do that if they're certain.
Yeah, that's interesting because a lot of people, especially in the digital marketing world, we're taught little gimmicks and things that we do to be able to convince people to do things. But I think
Right.
internally, so many of us still question, okay, holy heck, is, am I really going to be able to get them an ROI? What are they certain of? So what is, as the user,
Certainty, yes, exactly.
what am I certain of?
Great question, Chad. Certainty that your product or your service is going to not only meet and exceed not only meet their expectations, but way exceed those expectations.
So we've got to then, if I'm hearing you right, then as the person doing the selling, I have to be completely certain what it is that they want and what it is that they need, and then I have to be certain that I know that I can fulfill that. Yes?
Absolutely. Yeah, yes. So whether it's a health product or whatever that is, it's, if somebody's selling a product and you're selling a product where your product can help them make more money, for an example. So what I like to do is monetize that into the future. So I future pace the monetization of that, and I do it usually at the lowest level, meaning that if I'm a coach and they're a real estate agent, and as a real estate agent, I ask them what amount of business they're doing. One of the things that I do is I get to that question, this kind of a side thing, but what I do is I get to that question by asking them a question that I know that they're not doing. So for an example, I might say to a real estate agent that's in business, and I go, oh, I've been in business 17 years. Oh, wow, that's exciting. So what are you doing, about 30 listings a month? Bam, smack in the face.
Oh, I got you.
So now they have to confess their sins.
Oh, I love
now
that.
They have to come to the table and go, no, I'm only doing 7. And then I come back and I go, wow, 7. I go, now do you do something else on the side? Like, is this part-time? And they're thinking to themselves, hell no, I do this 80 hours a week. Can you show me that model?
Right. Okay.
Can you show me that model? I mean, I've been doing this 17 years. I'm doing 7 a month. So one part of their brain has to confess their sins. I'm only doing 7. Their other part of their brain goes, yeah, I'd love to do 30.
God, you know what happens? Okay, I know this is your show, but I'm going to interject here. My mind is crazy. We teach
Can
this.
you see me okay, by the way? Because I look dark in this.
Yeah, I can see you well. I can see.
Okay.
Yeah, I know it's a little dark. If you want to open up a window, you can. But
let me just see one second. Let me see.
Here's where my mind's going while you're doing what you got to do.
Yeah.
Where my mind is going right now is we teach something here in the 7-day launch about the teacher-student relationship, right? So where you as the expert have got to come in as the expert, and they're not the expert, right?
Right.
So we talk to them. Boy, nothing, I'm telling you, nothing establishes that more than what you just did. Because you didn't have to give any credentials to establish yourself as the expert. You came with I love that. I'm going to start doing that.
Well, that's what we call to hurt them and heal them. So we hurt him first. I hurt the guy really hard first coming out of the gate by asking him a question that I absolutely know is only a dream in his mind.
Okay.
Guy sells cars. Awesome, dude. Been doing it for 10 years. Yes. What are you selling, about 30 a month? I know national average is about 8.
Right. Okay. So let's ask a couple questions. So let's apply that. So we have a bunch of coaches on here, right? So people who are trying to get into the coaching industry, and they're basically coaching people to start businesses. They may be coaching moms to get a side hustle, that type of thing. What are some ways that we can, quote unquote, hurt our audience without being so exaggerated that they're like, oh, you're in left field?
Well, you could pull it. You could scale it back. I'm just a little extreme.
Yeah.
But not only am I extreme, but I have results of that.
Right.
So I have results of that. So I use a real result. And I mean, the guy that wrote the foreword to my mortgage book, he went from doing about 8 or 9 deals a month to working with me for the next 7 out of 11 months. He did 30 plus deals.
Right.
And so he wrote the foreword to my book. It was like, yeah, this stuff works, man. If the guy's only doing 7, it's not that it's not possible that he can't do 30.
I love that. So one of the things that we're going to have to do is we're going to have to figure out what not reality is, but what would be our greatest hope and outcome, right? And so we got to be able to hit them with it. I love that.
Yeah, well, I like to take people into that big vision. So, and we'll talk about that, but just, the thing is take people into, most people live the nightmare, but they like to be living the dream. Take them to the dreamland. Take them to the promised land. Take them to places they lay in bed, kicking their foot at night, thinking, God, one day I sure hope to get to that place. Take them there.
Right. I love
Take them there.
I love that. So we have certainty, we heal them, and then, or we hurt them, then we heal them.
Yeah, and just, I think that, just using, and this is kind of off topic as well, but it's all that rapport, right? Like you said, you got to have that rapport. You've got to really match yourself with your end user in the very beginning, because some people come out, Tony always said, don't shoot a rabbit with a cannon. It's like, you be gentle in your approach, it doesn't have to be so, wow. Right. And once you build that rapport, you can heighten it, and they'll go right along with you. Okay. Once you have the rapport. Now then you've got control. They like you, they like your style, they like your rapport, your energy, they just like the whole feeling of you. Don't be robotic. What else did I say? Don't be a machine. Don't be the salesy person, all that salesy stuff. Help your client get clear about what their vision is. Bob, what's your ultimate outcome? Okay. Sally, if you can wake up and put a superwoman cape on, what would that look like? Right. How much more business could you do if you were to do that? So I'm going to get them really excited about that. But I also want to share this too. That's very important, is that you've got to know the wounds and concerns of your end user. So like I say, you've really got to put time and energy into that. You can't, so before I came on here today, pretty much my day was who's my audience. Mm-hmm. And my heart and my compassion and who these people are and what they wake up to every day and all that stuff. And so I hope that I can bring together a little goodie bag of things that can help you make that easier for yourself. But it's important for you to know what that end user is and know what their objections could possibly be. So the reason why I'm not getting these objections at the end of my presentation is because I handle them all in the presentation. Right. And so inefficient.
Teach me that. So teach me how, because that's something that a lot of people ask me is, okay, how do I learn what their biggest frustration is and what their potential objections are?
Well, I think it's, what your product is designed to heal.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so then you look and go, well, what if I'm healing something? That means something's wounded. Right. Right. So what are their wounds? Right. And not only what are their wounds, but also what are their concerns? Their wounds, their concerns, but what could possibly be the reason why someone says no? Okay, and so I'm going to crush all that in advance, meaning I'm going to talk about, fear. I'm going to break apart fear. I'm just curious, Bob, do you live, he's talking about, I'm just, what is it, Bob, that prevents you from going out and prospecting? I know what it is. It's fear. Right. Let me ask you a question, Bob. How long have you been living in that fear? Right. So I'm going to really hurt him. Mm-hmm. Oh, I've been living there pretty much most of my life. Oh my gosh. Think that's impacted your family a little or a lot? Yeah. Right. Yeah. I love that. So I know their wounds, but I also know their possible objections. And meaning that the objection might be time and money. So for an example, when I was on the road traveling, selling tickets for Tony Robbins, we always knew that part of the objections that would come up from the audience would be, I have no time and I have no money. Those were the two primary objections, no matter where in the world we went. And so we would have really great stories and examples and anecdotes and metaphors to cover and wipe those two time and money issues out. So give me that. So if I'm on the phone with somebody and I know, and those are, those are the universal issues with people, right? Time and money. Time and money, right. Okay. And so if you've given them certainty that your product can work, time and money are going to be the two issues, right? So if that, how do I'm on the phone, I'm relatively new. I'm not even good at sales, but I'm following Brett Figueroa's model here. How do I even bring those up without saying, you're probably thinking that you have no time, you have no money. How do you raise an objection without it sounding like you're raising? I have multiple personalities when I'm in a sales call. Okay. It's very, because my job is to do what we call pattern interrupt, which you're probably very familiar with. Uh-huh. Interrupt their pattern, interrupt their pattern, interrupt their pattern. So I use funny stories, but I also use different voices and different personalities. So I'm the kid that sits in the very front with the apple on the teacher's desk, and I'm the guy in the back throwing darts. Right, right. So basically those type of issues or concerns about, say, time and money, I'm going to be the guy in the back of the row making fun of those concerns.
Okay.
My listener is going to listen and go, oh God, that's the way I live my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I make fun of lots and lots of things.
So
but
give
as
me
I make fun of it, I do it in a fun way.
So can you demonstrate for me?
So what did I say? Where are we at with that again?
Brett, man, what you're saying is great, but boy, I don't have any time or money.
Right. So, I'm not sure how to do that, because I do it so, like, I'm the guy that knows I drive a car, but I don't know how I drive a car.
Right.
And so in this situation here, I have to think, because I use the example of the guy in the back of the guy in the back row. I might use something before it gets to time and money. So here's where I'm not having to come through with that. So those stories or examples are going to be used. I was talking to a guy 2 weeks ago, and the guy had been in business for XYZ amount of time, and he said he was so committed to to taking up his business, but he also said, I just don't have the time. And so I said, what do you mean you don't have the time? I said, Bob, that's all you have is time. Birth, time, death, right? That's all you have. Right. And so I said, that's one of the reasons why we look at people and say, oh, I just don't have the time. Oh, I just don't have the time. We find, Bob, that's all you have is time. The only thing you don't have, Bob, in this exact moment is your commitment.
Right.
To take your level. So if we can here today get real clear. So I use these different personalities. I use voice inflections, highs and lows. I use stories and examples and things of that nature.
So this is where certainty comes in, right? So because
this is where it's all certainty. You cannot lose your grip in your presentation almost at all. You can't lose your grip at all.
But the power of story is really powerful here. So many of us are trying to sell a product. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to make a transaction is all we're doing, right? So you have money in your pocket that I want in my pocket. You have a service that you need done and I can fulfill it. So let's make a transaction. That's not how the world works, right? The world works through story. By making by building a relationship and a rapport, that's the word you use that I love, by telling your story. People want to know your story. It engages them. It pulls them in. It forces them to lean forward.
Right.
So you got to know your story.
You've got to know stories. And I've just gotten, after 25 years, my wife and kids would listen outside my door and go, just hear all these different examples or stories or things. I just make fun of a lot of things because I make fun of it in a way that they go, ooh, he's talking about me.
I like that.
Ooh, he's talking about me. That's my life.
So it'd be an easy thing.
A lot of people, when I do my seminars, they go, was this seminar for me?
Yeah. I love that, man. I love that. I love that.
Yeah. So, but one of the things that, that is really important is to gauge where your audience is at, is to gauge, are they a tire kicker or is this really something that's for real?
Okay.
Because there's nothing worse than hanging out with tire kickers.
Right. You spend an hour and a half on the phone and
and there's nothing there.
Right.
So what I like to do is I like to find out, I listen very closely. And so do your customers, though.
Right.
So they're ready to part with a lot of cash. They're listening very closely.
Right.
I'd also say as you're in your communication mode with your customer, to never, ever, ever use the word try. Never.
Okay.
It's like it doesn't take a bunch of cyanide to kill something.
Right.
It's drop. Try is uncertain language pattern. Try is an uncertain. You just drop cyanide right in your conversation.
Right.
So if somebody says, I'm going to try to call you tomorrow, you and I know they're not.
Right. You don't try to do it, you're not.
That's the back door. So, but people are listening very closely. So, that you just went, the moment that person drops that in, you went from certain to uncertain.
Right.
So that's why I say you can't lose your grip ever. So my clients will never, ever, 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 ever hear me use the word try, because I'm so present to my language patterns. I'm so present to my words that even though that's not a word in my vocabulary, it's just not something I would put in and dice my conversation with.
Right.
The thing that I was talking about is gauging where your end user's at. So one of the words that I'm listening for is I'm listening for the word want. So I'm listening for the word want. I want this and I want that.
Oh, I like that.
That's a whole laundry list of wants.
Okay.
And so I listened very closely to those wants, and I asked Bob, let me ask you a question. Stop you just for half a second. Now, is this something that you just want in your life, or is this something you're committed to having in your life? You see, we find that when many people just want something, it's really just more out of convenience. We find that when people are committed to something, it's more out of demand, like they are willing to do whatever it takes.
Right.
So I talk to a lot of people that just want to do good. They just want to do great. I'm just curious, what side of the fence are you on?
Wow.
And I'm going to shut up. Boom. And so he's now going to commit, or he's going to say, no, it's just something I want. Boom, dial tone. Just kidding.
Right. Right.
Sometimes I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But I mean, really, they are going to box themselves into either want or no, I'm committed.
Right.
Once they're committed, you know you've got a player.
Okay. It's something psychological. As I'm processing this through a psychological lens, it's fascinating too, because when you take that approach and they say, okay, I'm committed, it's almost like you would have to really screw up to not make a sale then.
Right. They're committed. The only thing now based on their commitment is, do they have the certainty that your product and service is going to give them that fulfillment of that commitment? Because yes, I'm committed. And if your product and your service can do what it is that you sound like, i.e. certainty, I'm in, dude. Where do we go from here? How do we get started?
When you have the committed and the certainty thing proper, obviously a sale is at the end. Here's where I'm seeing some of our audience already. So what they're probably going to try to do is they're going to try to tack on all the technobabble. Well, you know, you're going to get so many calls. You're going to get this. You're going to get this. You're going to get, and they're going to just start stacking like all of the things that they're going to be able to fulfill. Is that a good approach? Because I've always believed that don't wreck a good sale by telling them everything they're going to get. Talk about what the outcome is going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really, people ask, well, what am I going to get in the coaching? You know, I mean, after 25 years, I've gotten harsh, bro. I mean, I don't want you to all be so harsh, but I also don't want you to be led around as a doggy with a little puppy collar.
Right.
And so as soon as we start responding to those type of answers, as soon as we start into response mode, now they're taking that control. So it's really important to own the control of the call through the entire process of the call. Again, student and teacher process. And to go back to that question again.
So the question was, do I want to stack just my deliverables when I'm talking with them about?
I don't. No, I don't. And just as you recommended, no, I don't really have a bunch of deliverables. My job is to get them to what they're committed to. What am I going to get out of this? Well, Bob, what are you committed to getting out of this? It's like a marriage. You give little, you get little.
Right, right.
In this program that we have, Bob, you can walk away with the king's ransom, or you can walk away with a loss of $25,000. Choice is yours.
Right.
Will this product allow for you to become a multimillionaire? Will this product allow for you to do X, Y, Z? Absolutely. That's why we've created it. That's why we've had such great success.
Right.
But we've also found people that just go, they were people that just won things and they weren't committed. I get that so one of the things you also want to do is compliment your end user, really compliment them along the way.
Okay.
You know, a guy goes, oh God, I'm not getting any dates. I'm like, dude, have you given any compliments? I mean, have you told her how awesomely beautiful she is?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh no, I guess that's missing. Tell them when I hear it. So this is very important. This is very important. So when I take on a client, people say, well, what's the metrics for you? What's the setup for you? I've got to hear it, man. I got to hear it. Could I use their money? Of course, everybody can use money, but do I need their money? No.
Right.
Do I need a nightmare on my hands? No, I don't want a nightmare. So I've only had one outcome in working with clients pretty much my entire career. And I've always said that I bet on winning horses. That's my only job, Bob, is to bet on winning horses.
Yeah.
See, if that person is a losing horse, I have no gain with them. There's nothing there. My job is to do one thing and to bet on a horse such as yourself that I look into and go, you know what, Bob, I've been on a lot of calls with a lot of people. what I hear in your voice, I hear something that sounds like it could go to the moon and back. I'm only going to tell Bob that if I hear that. So I'm not going to go blowing smoke. I don't do that.
Okay.
I got to hear it. But if I hear it, I'm going to compliment him on it. He doesn't get that from anybody else. Honey, the guy says I'm on fire and I can go to the moon and back.
Right. Right.
Pay him. Let him take you to the moon and back.
Stay there.
Maybe just stay there. Exactly.
I love that, man. I love that. Okay. I love that.
Yeah. So, yes.
What kind of advice would you give some of our audience who they're relatively brand new to this game and they don't have as much certainty because maybe this is their first client they've ever worked with, or maybe they've never really coached and this is a brand new thing for them. How can they get started? You know, it's one thing when you got, 25 years experience and you can have 7,000 examples to pull from.
Well,
but what about when you have nothing?
This call will help with that question.
Okay.
So hopefully this call, you can kind of grab a few things out of this call, take the next couple days and really practice, do some drill for skill. And one of the things I was always taught was practice in private and get rewarded in public. Okay. And, if you take that time, you take that energy, I mean, people, I'd be at home and I'm walking around, Daddy, who are you talking to? No, me, just me.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I'm going to embarrass you. Well, probably won't embarrass you. But even in preparation for this call, when we were on, before we hit record, I'm hearing you in the back talking like you're presenting, right?
Yeah. I'm thinking about who am I talking to?
Right. Who's your audience? What's my inflection? What's my tone? Right.
Yeah.
So here's what, if I can take control just for a second, here's what I want our students to understand and listen to. Now listen to me. I want you to look me right in the eye when I tell you this, okay? In fact, I'm going to pin my video so you can look at me because this is this important, okay? Nice. When you get on these phone calls, this is your livelihood. This is the most important thing that you're building your business. You're building your bottom line, okay? Many of us spend more time trying to figure out what content we're going to put in a lousy email than we spend time preparing for this call. I guarantee you, as much as I love you, you are not good enough to wing it. You can't wing it. You got to be prepared. You got to know what the heck you're doing when you're going to get on that phone call. If you plan on spending 20 minutes or 30 minutes with them on a phone call, prepare 2, 3, 4 hours. Get yourself ready. You'll get to the point where you don't need that much preparation, but at the beginning, work your tail off. Be prepared so you can be certain with what you're going to say and what you're going to do.
Yeah, 1,000%. I mean, I never, so it's because I have this very deep feeling for people, for humans.
Yeah.
And I also get that humans go through some very difficult times, very challenging times, very depressing times, very frustrating times, very suicidal times. Mm-hmm. You don't know what your end user is going through when you make that call. You don't know what, if your product doesn't land into their hands, you don't know that person isn't going to go put a gun to their head tonight because they don't see any opportunity. Whereas if they got your product, they go, oh, there's possibilities. Oh, look, there's a bright future ahead of me. And
we sell hope.
You sell hope. So if you believe that your product and service. So for me, whether it's be selling seminar tickets or my coaching work or anything, it's so important to get that message into their hands that I'm going to be fun. I'm going to be playful. I'm going to be passionate. I'm going to be excited. I'm going to ask a series of questions. I'm going to take control of that situation, but they're going to give it over freely because they're like, oh God, I get it. He's the boss, like they're okay with it. Like this guy's a real pro at what he does. So like Chad said, this is not something you can wing. You've got to, you got a couple days before you start getting these leads. You've got to think about, not just how much I got to close and I need to make some sales. And I need to put some money in my pocket. I never, ever, ever, ever. And I know some of you are, this is a money game. I personally never, ever got into the business I'm in for money. Matter of fact, I started at $7.50 an hour and I took 2 buses, a train and a cab just to get to and from work. Because it was never about the money. It was always about the impact. So I would say, again, the most important thing is they're not going to remember what you say. So you got it all figured out, all schematically figured out, but they're going to forget what you say. They're not going to forget who you're being. Right. So I'd say just really make that connection. Oprah Winfrey wrote a book years ago called Make the Connection. So if you can make the connection between, your mission as a person, your product that is there to serve your mission, and your end users' needs and wounds, and that you are there to heal those. And for some, it might cost $5,000. For some, it might be $10,000. For some, it might be $50,000. But here's one thing I do know: people will pay.
Right. Right.
So, and if they won't pay, if some people really truly just don't have the money, I challenge them. To go find that money. I give them 24 hours.
Yeah.
Go find that money, Bob. Let's see how committed you are to your game. You said you're committed to your game, being a 7-figure income earner. Let's see. I give you 24 hours. But another quick thing. I had a client here not too long ago. It was a high-end client, and I gave him a proposition to where I'd come out to his home, and I would to go out there once a month and all that kind of fun stuff, and do weekly stuff with him. And anyways, it was a nice deal. Yeah. But at the end of the call, he said, well, let me circle back with you on Sunday. Now, this was on a Friday. He said, let me circle back with you on Sunday. I said, dude, I give you an hour.
Yeah.
He had the money wired into my bank in an hour.
Look at that.
So I had to take control. I could have said, I looked at that afterwards. I go, if I was a wussy, I would have said, oh, okay, that sounds great, dude. I'll talk to you on Sunday.
Yeah.
But instead, I took control, and I said, no, dude, let's wrap this up in an hour.
Right.
And within an hour, he called me and said, let's roll.
Yeah. I love it, man. We've only got a couple minutes left here before we're done. And by the way, Brett, thanks so much for taking some time with us today.
Oh, it's a pleasure, Chad.
Okay. It's all mine. And so as we began preparing ourselves for this discovery call and using some of these tips, anything else that we should consider before we wrap up today?
Yeah. One of the things you've got to recognize are the wounds of, one of the wounds of human beings, I guess, or one of the deficits that we many times have: our inability to make decisions, our inability to take action, our ability to procrastinate, our ability to put off, delay, all that kind of stuff. And so it really kind of, again, when we're kind of making fun of things or kind of just looking at things, is really getting people, you talk about an example where, decisions come first, answers come second. I find a lot of people, Sally, it seems like they're looking for all the answers,
right,
to get rich. I said, the fact is they haven't decided to get rich.
Mm-hmm.
I said, there's a lot of how-tos out there. You can go on Google and say how to lose 10 pounds. The how-tos don't matter. The decision is all that matters.
Right.
So decision is everything. So my job, and that's why my job is to not push them into a sale. My job is to not close them. My job is to get them to finally, once and for all, take action, get off the fence, make a decision, and go live their life at the highest of freaking level.
Right.
And do it right now on my call, on my watch. That's my job, is to get them to get off their fear, take action, make the decision. And those are all the things that have prevented them up to this point in their life from being all that they could ever be.
Goodness,
I'm going to get them to break through those, right? And they're like, oh, yeah, that's great. He's right. I haven't made a real decision in a long time. I've been sitting in fear forever. He's right. I need to get out of my own way, take some action. Let's go. How do we get started? What do we do?
Oh my gosh, man. I love this. Man. I love this. Hey, Brett, people wanted to get in touch with you, maybe reach out, maybe to hire you to do some coaching with them.
They can reach me a couple of different ways. Thanks for that, Chad. They can text me. You can send me a text at 303-921-3017. I'm a big texter.
Do you mind if we put this in the show notes?
No, be more than happy to. Okay. Yep, 303-921-3017. Okay. You can also go to Brett Figueroa International.
Okay.
And you can connect with me via LinkedIn, Facebook, all that fun stuff.
Okay. Yeah, connect with him, guys. If you're looking for someone who can sit down with you and coach you to take your discovery calls to the next level, because so many of you, your funnel is really simple. You're driving a little traffic to a lead magnet. From a lead magnet, you're given a basic little video or masterclass, and then you invite them to get on a call. And that call is vital to your livelihood and vital to your business. You might as well have a guy like Brett take that call, bring it to a whole nother level. So
hey, that would be great. We love to deep dive, and that's what we do. Is when we do private coaching, it's kind of take the microscope and zoom it on in. Really zoom it down on that person. So I hope that whether or not I talk to you or see you or what have you, you've got my contact information. If you choose to reach out and have some more dialogue and conversation, that would be great. We'd love to help you with your business and your mindset and all that kind of fun stuff. But I just want to ending with you, Chad. First of all, it's been a great opportunity. I love the end user on here because I was the struggling person that was given opportunity that turned it into disaster.
Right.
I mean, really, I managed a really good level of success on that one.
Yeah.
We want your audience to be able to go from this great 7-day launching to boom, having an explosion right out of the gate. And if you really study this video and really watch it and watch it and watch it again, I'm neurotic. I watch things 7, 8, 10, 15, 25 times because I'm either very slow or I'm very just making sure I'm repetitive and grab things I miss. So.
Right. Well, the great thing, too, is we also have a transcript of this. You can click on the button below, and you can
that's exciting.
So you can watch it, you can read it, you can highlight, take notes.
Nice.
You have everything that you need. So
that's great.
Well, Brett, man, thanks so much for being on here. We're super excited. And for all of you guys on the 7-day challenge, today's day 4. Work on your discovery call. We'll see you tomorrow on day 5.
That's awesome. Bye, everybody.